In as little as 1 to 5 years, artificial intelligence could ignite a wave of layoffs so massive it might push the unemployment rate as high as 10% or even 20%. That is the stark warning dropped by Dario Amodei from Anthropic, and it has set the tech world ablaze with anxious chatter. People are asking, is this really the future knocking at our door? Is the rapid advance of AI about to leave entire industries scrambling for relevance, or could this be an overblown doomsday scenario? Today we will pull back the curtain on this incendiary debate, dive deep into the claims, the counterclaims, and the personalities at the center of it all, and see how one of tech's biggest names, Nvidia Chief Executive Officer Jensen Huang, responded without missing a beat. In this episode, we will examine the improbable intersection of rising unemployment fears, the promise of advanced AI systems that might actually unlock new job opportunities, and the question of who should be allowed to develop these powerful technologies in the first place. We will look into the worry swirling around Anthropic's vision of AI's dangers, the solutions proposed by Nvidia, and the final word from Huang himself on whether we are facing a catastrophic job meltdown or the dawn of a bright new era for the global workforce. But let's step back for a moment and set the stage. Imagine you are going about your average day, sipping coffee while reading a headline about productivity improvements from machine learning. And then, in enormous bold type, you see the provocative statement, AI will make humans obsolete. Dramatized? Possibly. But Dario Amodei has expressed concerns that within 1 to 5 years, advanced AI tools, capable of automating workflows and responding to problems, could accelerate layoffs on a historic scale. He cites a number. Unemployment could rise to somewhere between 10% and 20% of the workforce. While some might dismiss these forecasts as alarmist, consider that the unemployment rate in May was just 4.2%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Could we suddenly see that figure balloon by 3 or even 4 times? That is the nightmare scenario painted by Anthropic's CEO. And for quite a few folks, it does not sound far-fetched. Technological leaps often upend labor markets, and the real question is whether AI will create more new opportunities than it eliminates. Enter Jensen Huang, head of the chip-making titan Nvidia. While Anthropic's founder sounds the alarm that mass unemployment lies around the corner, Huang takes a dramatically different tack, effectively saying, wait a minute, that just does not make sense. He recently told a small group of journalists at Vivatech in the city of Paris that if we buy into Amodei's scenario, where AI is so potentially destructive that it might decimate entire economic sectors, why should Anthropic alone be entrusted to develop it? Huang believes that concentrating advanced AI research in a single company's hands is the last thing the world needs, especially if we accept the premise that these tools could be dangerous in the wrong context. Instead, in Huang's view, we should build these systems openly, with many sets of eyes watching for wrongdoing and possible violations, in order to keep them in check. This argument stands in direct opposition to the popular notion that we should slow or restrict development to just a few responsible parties. Huang counters that making AI overly exclusive is the fastest route to hidden mistakes and insufficient oversight. Now, let us be clear, the tension between Anthropic and Nvidia does not simply revolve around gloom and doom predictions or turf battles on who gets to steer the AI ship. There is a deeper philosophical clash over whether artificial intelligence is innately beneficial or if it might spark widespread disruption. We hear dire warnings about job losses from certain quarters, while Huang insists that AI is more likely to move us into a new era of flourishing. According to him, any short-term layoffs we see in specific industries occur primarily in companies that have run out of good ideas, not necessarily because AI is grabbing jobs wholesale. Huang passionately believes that in the coming decade, as these advanced systems drastically ramp up productivity, the net effect will be to create more jobs than they displace, albeit very different kinds of roles than what we have seen before. But you might ask, is anyone actually making changes right now? Or is this all big talk? Well, consider that entire industries are already exploring how large language models, commonly referred to as LLMs, can revolutionize processes ranging from customer service to logistical planning. Nvidia is staking huge bets on AI hardware and software, with an eye on powering everything from self-driving vehicles to advanced data centers. Meanwhile, Anthropic invests heavily in research to push the frontiers of safe, human-compatible AI designs. The stakes are colossal, and there is likely to be no middle ground when these visions collide in the public sphere. Caught in the crossfire are everyday employees, the folks who might benefit from new AI-enhanced tools, or who who could face automation that renders their roles obsolete. That is precisely why this debate has captured worldwide attention. If you find this perspective mind-boggling, consider tapping that like button so we can continue exploring the promises and perils of emerging tech together. Let us delve deeper into the question of safety. Anthropic's CEO has voiced apprehensions about advanced AI potentially slipping out of control. The argument typically goes that if machine intelligence becomes too powerful or too autonomous, it might act in ways that are harmful to humanity. We have seen cautionary tales all over pop culture, from science fiction novels to big-budget action flicks. But Huang counters that if AI truly poses such a threat, then the last thing we should do is hand over sole stewardship to one company's private labs. If an organization truly believed AI was risky enough to cause massive unemployment and unpredictable hazards, surely an open global approach where many AI systems keep each other in check would be preferable. Huang envisions an ecosystem in which there is robust monitoring from multiple vantage points. In other words, if some rogue algorithm started drifting toward malicious applications, many watchful AI models and the researchers behind them could collectively step in to interrupt or correct the course. Another area that grabs headlines these days is the concept of artificial general intelligence, commonly called AGI, a level of machine intellect that not only specializes in narrowly defined tasks, but can match or even surpass a human's abilities across an expansive range of intellectual pursuits. Huang has a nuanced view of AGI, dividing it into what he calls the engineering aspect, where an AI can handle math, coding, science, and so on at or above a human level, and the theological aspect, which addresses more philosophical questions of consciousness, self-awareness, or deeper existential reasoning. Huang readily admits that he does not have the final answer on theological AGI. He remains an engineer at heart. But from a purely engineering standpoint, we could see AI systems that seem to rival the average human in problem solving within a fairly short time. Yet even as these AI models grow more sophisticated, corporations are looking for tangible ways to harness this power. Think about self-driving vehicles. Once considered a futuristic pipe dream, they have crept progressively closer to everyday roads. But Huang notes that many of the so-called autonomous solutions on the market or in heavy development today rely on a brittle patchwork of sensors, cameras, radar modules, route planning software, and more. Each piece can fail in isolation, requiring meticulous programming. Nvidia has another angle, harnessing large language models and generative AI to create more integrated end-to-end systems that might interpret and interact with the world in a unified manner. Huang envisions a day when you could speak naturally with your car, nearly the same way you now interact with ChatGPT. You might say simply, "Hey, can you reroute me around that construction site?" and then stop at the best bakery in the next town? And your vehicle, powered by generative AI, would not only chart the route, but also hold a coherent conversation about your favorite pastry shops or the weather conditions along the way. But that dream extends beyond cars. Imagine your lawnmower has the intelligence to hold a brief conversation, asking, "Is this how short you want the grass?" Or announcing, "I noticed a small patch of weeds. Do you want me to handle that too?" The notion blends whimsical convenience with advanced machine reasoning. If that sounds borderline fantastical, remember that these leaps in technology can come faster than we expect. The rapid growth in AI hardware solutions, particularly from Nvidia, has all but turbocharged the development of models capable of increasingly complex tasks. We stand at a unique crossroads, where improved data centers, specialized hardware, and refined algorithms are converging to push AI from theoretical potential into everyday life. Meanwhile, social media chatter, headlines, and shareholder meetings are abuzz with speculation over the opportunities and pitfalls that await us in the next few years. Will your typical day feature a conversation with your refrigerator about groceries and cooking tips? Or will there be serious disruptions in entire job categories, leading to spikes in unemployment? That is the million-dollar question on everyone's mind, and it is exactly what our story is all about. Such discussions naturally segue into the question of data centers, the digital backbone that powers AI computations. Typical cloud platforms in the market, think of large, well-known providers that rent servers by the hour, might be decent for standard tasks like hosting websites. However, advanced AI training and inference demand specialized configurations, often with high-end graphics processing units or entire clusters designed for mass-scale parallel processing. This is where Mistral A, SCI, led by Arthur Mensch, steps into the spotlight. The company has big plans to create top-of-the-line AI data centers in Europe, forging an approach reminiscent of CoreWeave in the United States. CoreWeave has grown popular for its specialized infrastructure, built from the ground up to handle the intense computational loads demanded by next-level AI research. According to Jensen Huang, Mistral AI's ambition is to replicate that model in Europe, providing a vibrant marketplace where clients can pay for advanced cloud services that are optimized for AI development, rather than settle for general-purpose silver-tier hosting solutions. In partnership with Nvidia, Mistral AI could secure the essential chips, connections, and investment networks they need to embed themselves firmly in the fast-evolving AI landscape. Now, before we get too lost in expansions and possibilities, let us circle back to how we got here, a tense clash between two compelling visions of the future. On one hand, Amodei warns us that AI might be so potent, so capable, and so quick to adapt that a huge portion of the workforce will lose their jobs, culminating in unemployment rates surpassing 10% or even 20%. On the other hand, Huang quips that it does not make sense to condemn AI as destructive, yet also claim that only a handful of companies, perhaps Anthropic among them, should develop it. Plus, Huang breaks from the gloom and doom script by positing that truly innovative firms will leverage AI's speed and ingenuity to create fresh product lines, new jobs, and an upward surge in overall prosperity. We have heard these wild swings of optimism and pessimism before with past technologies, from the printing press to the internet. And, historically speaking, every time a new invention transforms the job market, there is short-term disruption, followed by an extended period of restabilization. But is AI so different that it could spark irreparable upheaval? Will it be akin to the Industrial Revolution, or more like the dawn of the World Wide Web? That is the extraordinary puzzle we face, and the stakes only get higher each day. Interestingly, Huang goes one step further in addressing doomsday scenarios. Asked whether AI poses an existential threat to humanity, he suggests that any single rogue system might be effectively counterbalanced if we train many other models to detect unusual or malicious patterns. Of course, the practicality of implementing AI watchers watching AI watchers is not trivial. It will require a more comprehensive approach, possibly integrated at governmental, industrial, and research levels. But from Huang's vantage point, the path to safety does not involve stamping "you shall not pass" onto advanced AI research. Instead, it revolves around a communal framework that fosters innovation, keeps watch over potential hazards, and ensures that if one system goes off the rails, a network of complementary AI solutions can intervene quickly. Despite how grand this sounds, the cost of building and deploying these watchers is plummeting as GPUs become more powerful and economies of scale kick in, meaning it may soon be realistic to have swarms of AI sentinels. Against this backdrop, we have to wonder, do these assurances fully soothe the concerns of those worried about job disruption or advanced AI going haywire? Possibly not. Yet the narrative advanced by Huang presents at least a feasible plan with multiple fail-safes. In the end, both sides might prefer to have a seat at the table during these critical discussions. Anthropic would naturally label itself a careful and principled steward of AI, ensuring that guardrails are set before the rocket takes off. Meanwhile, Nvidia is fueling the rocket with the hardware that powers AI breakthroughs. The synergy between them could be dynamic, but the disagreement on how best to develop AI, privately behind the locked doors of a few companies, or out in the open with a broader community, underscores a philosophical divide that shapes the entire AI field. If you love digging into these passionate debates and want to stay updated on the next major twist in this unfolding storytelling of humankind versus machine, definitely consider subscribing to keep connected with our analyses. After all the intense conversation, it is almost surprising to note that Jensen Huang wrapped up the conference session by taking selfies with the gathered journalists and analysts, symbolizing a friendly vibe even in the face of swirling controversy. He candidly admitted, "I am super afraid of public speaking, you know," a somewhat ironic statement from a leader whose commanding presence has defined Nvidia's rise. Perhaps that is the real takeaway. Behind these gargantuan corporate maneuvers, behind the hundreds of billions of dollars funneled into AI data centers and the swirling predictions of a workforce apocalypse, stand individuals. Some are excited, Some are anxious, some are cautious, but all are staring into the unknown horizon that advanced AI technologies have drawn for us. Will we witness an era of mass industrial rebirth, brimming with creative new professions for human talent? Or are we careening toward a society where more jobs vanish each day? The ultimate answer remains unwritten. For now, the big question is, where do we place our trust? In those who warn us against an AI-driven cataclysm, or in those who claim that the future, guided by open development and careful checks and balances, will be bright? The conversation is only just beginning, and whatever side you take, one thing is certain. We are in for a thrilling ride.